Thanks for joining me today. Now, you've had quite a bit of experience negotiating internationally. I wanted to ask specifically about Denmark. What's your experience been like negotiating with the Danish?
Sure. Well, yes, I've negotiated with Danish partners on several occasions, and I'd say their style is refreshingly straightforward. I remember one negotiation in Copenhagen, very collaborative, very down to earth. From the outset, you could tell they weren't there to play power games. They had realistic goals, and the whole vibe was very cooperative.
That's interesting. So, would you say the Danish prefer consensus over confrontation?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, in most negotiations I've had with Danish counterparts, decisions were made collectively. It's not about one person at the top calling the shots. There's often a team involved, and they really value internal alignment. You're not just convincing one person, you're engaging with a group that wants to come to a fair and mutual agreement.
Okay, and how does that impact the pace or structure of the negotiation?
So, Danish negotiations tend to be well structured and efficient, but never rushed. They're monochronic in their time approach, punctual, organized, and focused. I recall one meeting where the agenda was laid out precisely, and we stuck to it point by point. No jumping around, no multitasking. We dealt with one issue at a time, resolved it, and moved on. Very linear, very logical.
And would you say their communication is high context or low context?
Low context. They say what they mean. I never had to read between the lines or second guess their intentions. In fact, I remember a Danish project lead telling me, "We prefer to be clear so we don't waste time later." That kind of stuck with me. Their communication style is direct but polite, never aggressive. You always know where you stand.
How important is trust in the negotiation process?
Trust plays a huge role. The Danish put a lot of emphasis on transparency and credibility. They don't rely heavily on long, detailed contracts like you might find in other countries. Once you build rapport, they expect openness and they give it in return. I remember I had one deal where we didn't even sign the contract until near the end because the relationship had already created enough trust to move forward. That wouldn't happen everywhere.
What about emotional appeal? Do they use it in negotiations?
Well, not in the dramatic sense. No. Danish negotiators are rational and fact-driven. The logical appeal is definitely front and center. But there is an emotional layer. It's subtle. They might appeal to shared values like sustainability or long-term collaboration, but they don't try to manipulate emotions. It's more about building a connection based on mutual respect than winning someone over emotionally.
Sounds like a very balanced style.
Exactly. It's a blue style. I don't know if you're familiar with that framework. Collaborative, fair, relationship-focused. But don't mistake that for weakness. They're strategic too. They know their limits, and they won't concede just to be nice. It's always pragmatic, never sentimental.
That's really insightful. My last question, though, what advice would you give to someone preparing to negotiate with the Danish for the first time?
I would say, be honest, be prepared, stick to the facts. Don't try to bluff or overplay your hand. It'll backfire. Respect the schedule, be transparent, and aim for a win-win outcome. If you go in with the right mindset, negotiating with the Danes can be a really productive experience.
So, great advice. Thanks so much for your time.
Sure, my pleasure.